Hola, this lesson is regular verbs in the present tense, AR ending verbs. This is going to be the groundwork for how we're going to conjugate all verbs in the regular, or all regular verbs in the present tense. So we're going to go through the steps and how to do it, and once you know how to do this, then you'll be able to conjugate any regular AR verb in the present tense. Present tense means what? Do you remember? It means what you're doing right now. So, in this example here, we look at bailar, to dance, bajar, to download. So we're going to take the infinitive and then conjugate that depending on the subject of the sentence. So to conjugate a verb, there's two steps. That's it. One, drop the ending. So we're going to drop this AR part of any verb that we're going to conjugate. So that's step one. Step two, add the ending based on the subject that is performing the action. So based on the subject of the sentence, then you're going to add that ending in place of the AR. And that's it. That's conjugating verbs. So all you need to know is the endings and the subjects, and then you're good. So let's go through the AR endings. So for yo, it's o. And this one's easy to remember because the yo ends in o. So your ending is o. And that's going to be the same for any verb in the present tense. Your yo form is always the same, unless it's an irregular verb. And I will always tell you when it's an irregular verb. So unless I tell you this is an irregular verb, always conjugate this way. For tú, it's as, es. El, ella, usted, remember, all fall under the same box. So if you have any of these three subjects, your ending will be a. So far we have o, as, a. Now for nosotros, nosotras, it's amos, o, as, a, amos. Vosotros, remember, we're going to learn, but it's not going to be tested. So for vosotros, it's ais. Notice there's an accent on the a. Ais. Ellos, ellas, ustedes, all of these fall under the same box. It's the plural form of the el, ella, usted, and the ending is on. So if you remember, you can just add an n to the plural, or I'm sorry, to the singular here. In Espanol, most of the time when we make something plural, we add s, but we also add n. So let's try it with this sample verb, bailar. So remember, bailar means to dance. It doesn't mean dance, it doesn't mean I dance, it doesn't mean you dance, it means to dance. We know that because it's in the infinitive ending in AR. So step number one is to drop the ending. So their ending is always going to be either AR, ER, or IR. In this case, we're learning AR verbs, so it's AR, so you drop the AR. Now we have bail, and that's your stem. Anytime I refer to the stem of a word, it is the verb without the ending. So notice we're missing an ending here. So now we have to think of what ending we're going to put on it based on a subject. So let's take a sample sentence. So if we say he dances, we already have the stem of to dance, bail. Now we have to figure out what is our subject. We went over subjects in the first lesson, finding the subject. So for he, what goes in place of he as far as your subject pronoun in Espanol? El. El goes in place of he, so that way we can begin our sentence with the subject. So step two is to add the ending based on the subject. So based on el, what was our ending for el? Remember, it was o, as, a, amos, ais, an. And here you see the chart again. So el falls under the el, ella, usted. So our ending is a. So that's what you would add here to bail, to your stem. Now we know that we're saying he dances, not just to dance. He to dance does not make sense in English, so it would not make sense in Spanish either. So now for the end of step 2, now we put it all together. We have él, which is our subject, dances, baila, in the L form. So we have él baila. Remember in Spanish, one of our porqués, or why we learn this, is to have an implied subject. So now we don't have to have él here. We can just put baila, and we know that means either he, she, or usted baila. In this case, we're saying él baila. So we can just simply say baila, and that would get our point across as well. So now we're going to go through the AR ending verb endings one more time. The first time I will say them. The second time you say them with me. And the third time you say them on your own. And it's easier to learn them in order. That way when you have your chart, you can just plug them in the same order. So I will say the endings again the first time, and then the second time you say them with me. Third time, you say them on your own. So for AR ending verbs, it is o, as, a, amos, ais, an. So now you say them with me. O, as, a, amos, ais, an. Now this time you say them on your own. Okay, so let's review what we learned for AR ending verbs. So 2 easy steps, and this is for any verb. So this will help you throughout the rest of the lessons as well as for any other verb conjugation. So step 1, drop the ending. So drop your AR, ER, IR. Step 2, add the ending based on the subject that is performing the action. So once you find the subject in the sentence, you can just go through your checklist or your chart and find the ending, add that to the stem of the verb, which you've taken the ending off of, and then you have your conjugated verb. And for AR, it's o, as, a, amos, ais, an. And these are easier to remember that they're AR because each one of them starts with A. Except for the yo, which will always be o. So now we're going to check and make sure that we've understood this. So we're going to conjugate the verb cantar into each of its forms. So I put the forms here for you in the same order they will always be in these charts. In the yo, tú, él, ella, usted, nosotros, nosotras, vosotros, vosotras, ellos, ellas, ustedes. So your job is to conjugate these, or conjugate the verb cantar, which means to sing. Remember, it ends in AR, so it's in the infinitive, to sing. Now you're going to conjugate them into all these forms. Remember your steps. So first, you drop the ending. Second, you put the right ending based on the subject, and they give you all the subjects there. Okay, so step 1 was to drop the ending. So then you had the stem, C-A-N-T, 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 and all of these. Okay, that's the important part. Step 1. Step 2. Okay, now that we have the first step done, now we just add our endings. So if you remember from our little chant, it's o, as, a, amos, ais, an. So the beauty of being able to conjugate these verbs is that you don't even have to know what the verb means because you know exactly how to conjugate it to match your sentence. You know that you drop the ending and you add the ending that corresponds with the subject pronoun. But cantar does mean to sing. Okay, so that was conjugating AR verbs. In the next lesson, you'll learn how to conjugate ER/IR verbs, which is about the same. There's just a few differences, and I'll show you those.